Hello, everyone.
Hi,
Hello,
how are you?
how are you?
Good, thank you. You?
Good, good,
Good.
thanks. New
Say
day,
hello to
new
the
episode.
audience.
There's already a lot of
Hello.
people. I
Yes.
think the first comment was 30 minutes before the show.
Yeah, it's nice to see this dedicated audience.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining.
And there's
Hope you're
highs
doing
from
great.
YouTube and Facebook. Nice. We are streaming on both.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
feel free to ask us anything in the live chats, and we will do our best to reply to your questions. Also, as usual, let us know where you're from, if you're teachers, what you're teaching, if you're teaching remotely, and how your situation is.
Yes. And if you can't be here now, you can always watch this episode later from our YouTube channel. Okay, so today we're going to have two special guests. We were saying first that one, but now we have actually two. Yes, so
yes,
we're
our
going to have,
guest
yeah.
for today.
You want to, Roxanne, introduce them?
Sure, we're going to have Meredith Portsmore and Alison Earnhardt from the Tufts University in Massachusetts in the US. So we're very excited to have them because they have tons of experience being teachers and researchers. So I think it will be super interesting for everybody and you guys to learn from them. So yes.
Yes, definitely. So prepare your questions.
Yeah.
We're gonna have them soon. Before that, I'm gonna also talk about the remote learning side and what we have added to the site. After the interviews, we're gonna talk about a bit of like how to become Arduino certified for all of you who already have bought your starter kits or used Arduino for years. Maybe you want to become Arduino certified, so we have a way for that. And as we did in our previous live session, it was a few episodes ago. Was it the second episode? Yeah, we presented some of the projects that we created ourselves, and now we have new projects. So based on one of the starter kit projects, we have modified the project and created our own versions. So we're going to present that. And like last time, you should listen carefully because we're going to have a quiz in the end.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, but I
So
can start with
yeah.
showing the remote learning side, what we have there.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So as you know, arduino.cc/remote learning. We have now added, actually today, this week, we filmed a new training video for the starter kit. So there's for project 5, the mood cube. If you haven't checked it out, you can go and check it after this live session and create your own mood cube. And that's also the project that we have modified now. We have created our own projects, and we're going to show you what kind of mood cubes we have. We have also added 2 new articles. There's a Get to Know the Arduino Student Kit. The Arduino Student Kit is the kit that we talked about in our previous episode in the live session. We presented, we had the product owner and curriculum specialist to talk about the Arduino Student Kit. Aaron Locke was here, so you can read more about it. But then we also have an article, Improve Your Digital Skills at Home, where is an interview of one of our guests today. So Meredith had a more in-depth answers, maybe some of the tips for how to learn at home or how to assess your students learning from home. So go check that out after this live too. And like always, you can always contact us using the form on the remote learning site or join the discussion on our forum. And like we have said before, you can use the hashtag Arduino at home. So if you have your own project, we would like to see that, and you can share them in different social medias. And I'm going to actually now show some of the project that we have. So there is in Twitter, we have a project that is using the LCD screen like we did with our projects. So I had the project where you have to, it's time to move or make some exercise. And Teres, what project you had?
I had a study and pause timer. So it was a really simple project where you set the amount of time you wanted to study, and then you press the button and you time down, and then it told you when to have a 5-minute break.
Oh,
with
yeah.
this little small device.
And Roxana, you had...
Yeah, like a time management system, so you can focus on one task, and then
Yeah.
you will have the LEDs and a piezo. Yeah.
Yeah. So now there's a project where it's actually a game. We can see
Nice.
you can control the small figure, and you need to jump over the bricks.
Mm,
Really cool.
That's so cool.
that's so nice.
Then we also have
Thank you.
Who was that from?
This is from in Twitter using the hashtag Arduino at home. It's from Guerab Mohammed. I'm sorry
Cool.
if I don't
Thank
say the
you.
name correctly.
That was really cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have also on Instagram, people have used the hashtag Arduino at home. There's this one project where people are living in different cities or different continents. There's a Bangkok and New York. And now you can see how when the sun is kind of up where your family is. So you have your own light.
Oh,
That's
that is so beautiful.
cool. Wow. That's
That is so cool. I
awesome.
would like to have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Wow.
And then we have another project where there's a robot that comes to you when you say, you can say go and come back, and
Oh, that's so nice, especially in
Yeah.
this quarantine time. If you don't have a pet, you can have a robot pet
Yeah.
yeah, you can create your own
to
pet
keep you company.
for sure.
So yeah, this is super nice.
And then there's a project
The hand sanitizer.
where you
Oh,
can
I've
use the
seen these.
ultrasonic sensor, so you don't have to touch the actual bottle.
Nice.
Cool.
Wow. Super useful now.
Yeah. If you have any projects that you want to share with us, use the hashtag Arduino at home and we can share them here in our live stream next week or in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Cool.
So we have people from France, China, Greece, India, Brazil, UK, Croatia. Wow. Thank you so much for joining. Cool.
Yes.
Denmark. Yeah.
And there's
Cool.
Brazil. Yeah. So
Nigeria. We have people from Nigeria. That's so cool.
we should create a project where we can light up like the map. Wherever we have a person watching this, they would light up a LED on a map or something like that. That would be really cool.
Is that a challenge for
Istanbul.
us?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or if there's someone who wants to create that and share it with us.
Also, we have people from the States, from Washington. So nice. Great. Italia. We have something from Italia. Czech Republic, Bangalore, Philippines.
A lot of people
from
in Facebook,
US,
actually.
Baltimore, Pakistan.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Thank
the
you
people
so
on
much,
YouTube,
guys.
if you don't see these comments, it's because they're on Facebook. So we're broadcasting from two places today.
Yeah, we can see both.
Cameroon. Wow.
But I think it's time for our guests.
Mexico.
I think so too.
Yes.
Yeah, our two guests, they come from CEO at Tufts University, which is the Center for Engineering, Education and Outreach. So Meredith is the director and a researcher, and Alison is a science and engineering educator and has used Arduino in her project-based courses. Welcome.
Let's bring them. Hello.
Hi.
Good morning, good afternoon,
How are you?
wherever you are. Good evening.
Is this morning for you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You are in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. East Coast.
Yeah, that's so cool. Early morning for you. So thank you so much for joining.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so you're both at the same university normally, right?
Usually, yes, right?
Yeah.
From each other.
Would you like to tell us how your usual time at the university is? Like, what are your different roles when you're actually teaching or doing research at the university?
Sure. So I'll start off. So Tufts University is outside of Boston, up in Massachusetts. So we have a really cool place there called the Center for Engineering, Education and Outreach, ceo.tufts.edu. which is dedicated to making the problem solvers of tomorrow through hands-on engineering-based experiences. So we do research on teaching and learning. We develop new technologies and play with lots of different tools and platforms. And then we have a lot of really great folks who take all that research and turn it into programs for teachers and students. And so my role as the director is I teach online courses for educators. I do research on teaching and learning, and then all that that really super fun administration stuff. And then I'll hand it to Allison, who's on the front lines doing really cool stuff. And we're lucky to have snagged her for a little bit from her previous life as a formal classroom teacher.
Oh, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, so the bulk of my career has been spent teaching high school and undergraduate physics and engineering. During that time, I discovered Arduino and spent many years working with the Arduino starter kit. Actually, I was lucky enough to convince my principal that we needed to buy a whole class set of Arduino starter kits. And it was just a gold mine of opportunity to work with over the years that I taught in the classroom. Now that I'm at Tufts, what I'm doing as CEO is supporting outreach efforts. So sometimes I'm writing curriculum and designing courses and workshops for students. Sometimes I get to teach those workshops. I really love still working with students. And so this whole sudden shift in education to online learning, I know is jarring to everyone, not just from the administrative point of view of how do we do this, but also the emotional and social point of view of not being able to see our students anymore, because I already miss our students.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. It's been a while now.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of like video conferencing with your students or with your colleagues?
With colleagues, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And we're starting to gear up. We are lucky enough that we did not have to immediately begin working with students online. We've had time to take a lot of data. We talked to a lot of parents. We conducted a lot of surveys to ask families what will work for them with online education, what do they not want to see with online education. And we've now started to roll out projects where we're working with our students online and figuring out best practices for what works well and how can we best stay true to what it means to teach engineering, because engineering is very special as opposed to other kinds of academic courses, you know, because of the hands-on aspect, because of the cooperation and teamwork aspect. It poses its own different challenges.
Yeah, we want to talk about that a bit later, but before that, I would like to ask, like, you're involved in developing courses and creating resources for engineering classes, but in what kind of courses do you use actually Arduino?
Right now, I'm developing a collection of summer courses that we're going to be using. We teach high school level, middle school, and elementary school level engineering workshops, and the Arduino is mostly for middle school and high school. And right now, we're still getting used to what the students know and don't know. Many of the students that we work with may not ever be familiar with Arduino, so we're doing a lot of beginning Arduino and introduction to Arduino projects, which then move into other themes. The themes can be as broad as assistive devices or smart devices. We like to do a lot of curriculum writing regarding smart devices and the Internet of Things. Arduino lends itself very well to being able to be compatible with all kinds of other technology that can be wireless, which makes it really fun.
The other place we, back in 2015, we started our teacher online program just because we had folks all over the world interested in learning engineering and thinking about what kind of things do you do in the classroom, kind of the pedagogy of teaching that's different. And so in some of our teacher courses, we use it as well as a way to get into those deep concepts in engineering. So control theory and robotics, and really thinking about what that is. So for several years, we've shipped off Arduino kits across the US and around the world to folks who are, trying to get really deep engineering content knowledge to support what's happening in their classroom. And what's been really cool, right, is that idea that, that you have this kit of materials that you can make anything with, right? You can do it in your living room, you can do it in your, I see a lot of my students' dining rooms, as they take over their house with their brother as they're doing their graduate level courses. Online learning is definitely just as much work as in-person learning, but it gives our students flexibility. And we're excited that they're not just, sitting there watching videos, but they're, making their own traffic controllers and autonomous robots.
That's so cool.
Yeah, do you usually have when you have the Arduino project, is it something that you follow some kind of example, or is it always something that students can create based on their own interests? Do you have examples of?
Yes. Well, to first answer the first part of the question, to me as an educator, I see a difference between skills building and then going off on your own and doing projects. I feel like many teachers make the error of just tossing a kit like Arduino at students and being like, go make something. And sometimes that can be very intimidating to students if they have no experience with it. And what I like about the Arduino Starter Kit is that book of 15 projects. And I've used that a lot with my classes, where I don't have them do all the projects, but I have them do the first few projects just to learn, okay, this is the breadboard, this is how I put wires and LEDs and buttons together, and they start to see how it works. And then I ask them to pick 2 or 3 other projects in the book that they can do. So giving them a little more independence and letting them work on what interests them the most. And by looking through those projects, they see, oh, I have an LCD screen. Oh, I have a speaker. I have buttons. I can sense light. I have motors. And they begin to explore the possibilities. So once you've accomplished some skills building and introduction to the possibilities, then you've prepared the students to go off on their own and do their own projects. Over the years, I've had students come up with some really amazing things. As you mentioned earlier, the light up map to light things up, I had a student do that once with the state of Texas. I used to teach at Texas. Wow. So I saw someone in the comments commented they were from Texas. Hook 'em horns. Yeah, anything from art projects to useful tools. About 6 years ago, I had a student, before they were popular, I had a student create a water bottle that had a strip of LEDs the whole way up it with an Arduino that would keep track of, well, not keep track of how much you drank, but alert you when you are supposed to drink water, of like where the water level is supposed to be. I've seen now they're very popular products, but I think my student did it first.
Yeah, I think so too.
But it's a bit similar idea that we have with now that we have the tutorial videos for the starter kit. But then after that, you can have a challenge. So how you can modify the project in a way that it's more meaningful for you. So
yes. When you have students buy into it personally because they have that personal interest, that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
I think we're always trying to get our projects to have that client and context, right? That you're designing for someone. I mean, if we think about that, engineering is not only building these computational and, physics and STEM skills, but it's also building empathy, right? And having students really connect to the world. And, I think that really brought it who thinks they're invited to this STEM space, right? Like if you think that, understanding people and connecting with clients is part of this, right? I think that encourages a much broader spectrum of people to come versus like, oh, I just need to know these discrete skills. So I think it's really great to have tool sets that let folks, dig into their, as Alison was saying, their personal interests and really see that, oh, all this connects to things I care about, whether I care about animals or people or, making the fastest, highest, strongest, all these things are possible in this space.
Exactly. I think it's important that the students know how they can relate to the reality when creating the project. So they see a problem in reality, and then they challenge themselves to solve that with whatever tool they have.
Mm-hmm.
But so Meredith, you were before talking about like creating the projects in your living room with your kids and stuff. So how did you get into remote teaching?
Yeah, so this has been an interesting time for us because some of our things, like our teacher education, were already online. So we kind of got some proof of concept that that this was. I had teachers that were teaching at American schools in China that got evacuated. So we had this crazy semester. But remote teaching is always for us, but about how do we build a community, a global community in teaching. And so, we're located in Boston, and for years we only had folks who could, make it there in, 2 weeks in July when we do our programming. And so remote teaching or online learning became this way of being able to say anyone in the world we meet via, people who comment on our Facebook page to, people we meet in our travels could come and do this kind of learning with us. And so we created it. We created our online learning to serve in-service educators who are, doing this amazing work of, transforming the classroom to do this kind of hands-on engineering-based learning. So that was really our starting point into it, and think about how do we, how do I have someone in Saudi Arabia, California, and Spain all learning together online. And that for us has been amazing because you just get to meet the coolest educators around the world. So every year we have this cohort of folks who are changing the world. It really makes you feel amazing about education.
So it's like you can incorporate everyone from every part of the world. So that's why you prefer, or why you started with the remote teaching and learning.
Yeah, also time, I think, is the other real piece, right? Like a lot of times teacher, because of the way the world is structured, you get like 1 week in the summer, you get 1 day of PD in the classroom. And so via online learning, we have semester-long courses that feed into an 18-month certificate. So folks really have time. I mean, that teaching is really hard work, right? Teachers are really skilled.
Sure.
We like to say teachers are to learning as doctors are to medicine, right? Like this is you have to diagnose student thinking, you have to figure out what's going on in the classroom. So we know that it's nice to have that time to really dig in, really spend time with the conceptual knowledge, the engineering, the hardware, the software, and then also have time to look at your students. So we spend a lot of time in our program looking at student thinking, watching them solve problems, watching video of them doing different projects and say, like, what were they trying to do? What were they struggling with? What are the possible teacher moves? So time is the other really piece, and really acknowledging that, teachers are doing this really, really difficult thing. We undersell teachers all the time. And so let's have a place and a space where they can really dig in and get to do it, and get to do it with other cool people. So it's really, that's been really exciting.
Yeah. Now, well, you've been doing this for some time, but do you have some kind of tips for educators now watching this live, for example, or even for students who are now learning from home? Any kind of advice or tips what you should think of when you're learning, especially now with the subjects like you mentioned, like with the electronics, where you have this hands-on, you have the wiring, and you can really have the teacher there next to you showing if there's some issue with your how to connect everything. Do you have any tips, both of you?
Yeah, so I'll say a few, and I'm sure Allison has some as well. We're always trying to, a lot of our online paradigm is the flipped classroom, where, we get the content pieces and we just those, and, once you get those kind of down, right, I really want to spend my time interacting with students. So whether it's live chatting with them over the video, or they're sending me screenshots or pictures of their design, that's where I'm really trying to spend my time, is interacting with their thinking, and not so much on just delivering things to them. We can always do that, but this is where. And I tell my students a lot of times, they're busy educators, and they're saying, oh, I'm so busy, I want to take an online course. And I say, that's amazing. But remember, online courses are just like real life courses. You have to make time and space for them, right? So you need to physically figure out where your stuff is going to go. And for our undergraduates, that's been really hard, right? All our students, at the university level are also working at home, and having space to do this can be really tricky. So whether you can figure out a space there, and then setting aside time, like, yes, online learning is flexible, but, you should decide for yourself that, 7 to 9 on Wednesday nights is when I'm going to work on my, my engineering 101 homework, because otherwise it just, it's really hard. So I think that puts a lot more pressure on teachers and students. Like, it's so, I can do it whenever I want, but when is whenever.
Yeah, I was reading that in the interview that we had with you. Do you always have this routine every day that you need to, even though you're working from home, that you need to go up and change clothes and have this time from here. I actually know a lot of colleagues who don't change clothes from when they go up and start working. So
Yeah.
So do you have these special routines that help you focusing?
Yeah, no, I mean, right, everybody's figuring it out. You know, I get up before my kids to try and do some work before their online learning starts. And then at 5 o'clock every day, we try and make sure, you know, work is over and we need to have some outside play time. So trying to have some boundaries, but then, you know, then there's always some special exception that week. But yeah, I think the social emotional piece is so huge right now. I've definitely been trying to make sure, whether it's with colleagues or students or other folks, that we're checking in, right? How are you? What's going on today, right? Like, that's a really big piece. And definitely in my online class this semester with teachers, we just heard you know, so many things they're dealing with, and also what kind of things online learning is foregrounding in terms of like, oh, wow, my kids really do need to be engaged, because at home, I really have no leverage if they are not interested in doing it.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit different now. The online is not like the option that you pick yourself. It's you have to do it online. So it's also a bit different. What about you, Alison? Have you been teaching remotely before? Or is this a kind of new situation for you?
This is new for me as well as it is for almost all other educators. Just this past week, the CEO ran a very successful engineering run with elementary schoolers. It was not with Arduino. It was with just materials found around the home, things from your recycle bin, cardboard boxes, tape, scissors, you know, whatever you have. Something that I believe all engineering teachers right now, especially, are struggling with is materials. Like we all kind of left so quickly. If you didn't have a chance to give your students, you know, the kits and the tools, you are left with whatever they have at home. So we did a project with the 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, basically, where we read them a story and they were able to collaborate, not on the building process, but on the brainstorming side, where we read a story about a farmer and some bunnies who were trying to get in and eat their carrots. And the students brainstormed on what kind of problems were the characters facing and how could we solve those problems. And then the students were able to build with their own materials at home projects that would solve those problems. So something that we're focusing a lot on is trying to, where do we incorporate the cooperation piece? Because in the classroom, you can have students working in pairs, working on something, but virtually, how does that collaboration take place? And we are finding that the best collaboration that can happen virtually is in the brainstorming and collaborating in idea generation, and then also in peer-to-peer feedback, giving constructive feedback, giving feedback that is clear and useful and helpful, and having students critique each other's work when the final product is done, because there's still no barrier that way. And we're finding that a lot of good ideas are still being passed between students, and that's really great. I'm happy about that.
That's nice to hear. Yeah, yeah, because we've been also.
No, sorry.
No, we've been also
we
thinking
just have
about like
an interesting question from the audience, but yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So Jan Michael is asking if you have some advice about, yeah.
So yeah, that is definitely a problem, as I mentioned. In some cases, we are trying to completely switch the curriculum such that students can use simply what they have at home. So a lot of building projects using, you know, cardboard boxes, tape, string, what they have available to them. In other cases, I know of many schools that are actually shipping and sending kits of materials to students. I'm in touch with a teacher here in town who the local police has actually volunteered to take equipment from home to home, well, not from home to home, but from the school to students' homes, if they need robotics kits, if they need Arduino kits, if they need special materials. So many communities are finding ways to get those materials out there. In other cases, some schools are asking students to purchase those materials, which is is good and bad. You know, many people are able to purchase an Arduino starter kit online or something else, but some students can't, and that's an issue that I believe all schools are still struggling with, because when students are not able to be in the school, issues of iniquity tend to crop up, and I think that's a worldwide issue that we're dealing with right now. I don't have a magic answer to that.
Does everyone have a computer at home, like students? Is it something that everyone has, or is it something that you get when you're at school? How does it work?
That depends entirely on the school and what particular class it is. For most of our workshops, we provide a laptop for them to work on while they're doing their projects. And so we have to be mindful that many of our students who used to come to us for these projects may not be able to interact with us digitally. They might not even be able to have a computer to even do the online teaching in the first place. And that's definitely a problem. Some schools are sending computers home with their children. Others are not. I'm not sure. It's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. Okay. You're also mentioning that this summer you're going to have the remote workshop with your students with the Arduino Starter Kit. You want to tell us something about that? What is your plan?
Well, my plan right now is very loose, because I've learned after many years of teaching that the best laid plans of any teacher can be thrown right out the window at a moment's notice. So I try to be very flexible. Right now, we are in the process of having students sign up for the course. And I'm trying to be very flexible with what the required materials are. I am suggesting that they have an Arduino starter kit. But other students, especially ones who may be more familiar with Arduino, may have bits and pieces of components that they've assembled themselves, projects they've done. But I'm kind of trying to lay out, these are the basic components and an Arduino Uno that I would like everyone to have. And then when we all get assembled together, I will need to do the job of assessing who here in this group is an absolute beginner, who here in the group has some experience and just wants to learn more. And I intend to split the class into kind of two different sessions, where one session is a more skill building, where we are going through the projects in the starter kit book. Whether or not they have that, I can be communicating it to them. So skills building for the beginners, and then different sessions for the more advanced students, where I play a role of a facilitator rather than a direct teacher, because I'm simply trying to communicate all the different possibilities that are out there, pointing them towards resources for different kinds of projects, and letting students pick what they want to make, and kind of being an advisor for them, someone who can help them troubleshoot, someone who can point them in the direction of better information if they need it, because we want these students to be independent learners. We want them to find something to love and then pursue that with their own energy.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. And feel free to use our videos if you find them useful.
I absolutely will. I'm so excited that you're making them.
Good. And give us feedback if there's something missing that you would like us to add. So
yeah, we created them.
One of the ideas Allison and another of our colleagues, Alyssa, have talked about too, is this idea that, it's always great to do the building, but also kind of the diagnostic troubleshooting. Like, what would it look like if we presented our own work or sample work where something isn't working? So to get students really into that process of critique. And that's another thing that lends itself really well to online, is like, here's my line follower and it's not really working right. Like, help me diagnose the code, or help me look at the robot and see what's going on. And so really thinking that there's some other kinds of things that maybe we don't do as much as the classroom, when we have the luxury of like just being hands-on the whole time, but things that are really cool and really value that we want students to be able to do, like be able to, look at other people's work and, do that kind of analysis, as well as, really be able to, that as we've been doing engineering in classrooms in this space, that Allison, talked about critique, that's so important, right? It's so important for kids to be able to know what it means to get feedback and give feedback and be in that iterative process. And in some ways, online might actually make it, it might lend itself to that, because you have to have that turn taking, and you're making these new relationships, and so you can really take the time for kids to think about, how am I being specific? I don't like your design, or, what's not working about your design? What's you're trying to help this person. What does it mean to help someone? So those are some other things that I think are really cool about the work that Allison and our outreach team are doing.
That's cool. And also, we had this question, which is that, Meredith, you're also an assessment specialist, right?
I'm a researcher in engineering education. I don't know if I'd say assessment specialist.
Because we got the question, what is an assessment specialist, and what are you doing as one?
Yeah, I think the assessment specialist might not be the right word. Definitely as a researcher, what I'm trying to do is really understand what students are getting out of these experiences, right? So we really study student thinking, and really try and unpack, like, what are they doing in that moment? If we imagine Allison and I are partners and we're debating, like, I think we should, use this structure to do it. Oh, I think we should use a proportional control to do it. What's happening when students are doing that? So I always encourage folks, from a teaching perspective, to just take a really careful listen to what their students are doing. Sometimes we have teachers do that with video, right? To video some of their groups to be like, what kinds of discussions are really going on? Because I think that lends itself to the overall assessment of student work, right? In the end, I don't care whether you picked A, B, or C on the quiz, right? I really want to see your work. And I think that ties in really well to some of the ways that Allison has been assessing her students for years, right? Using portfolios and blogs and places where you get to really see student work.
Mm-hmm. Does any of you have any tips or tricks for other educators that wants to assess their students' STEAM skills?
Yes, definitely. What I've been doing in the classroom for many years, and is still very easily transferable to online learning, is having students create online portfolios of their work as they go through a project, documenting things from beginning to end. They usually make a website or at least a blog where they can post pictures and videos from the very beginning to the very final product, and they post updates on what they're working on. I encourage my students to do a lot of self-reflection. What do I want to get out of this? At the very beginning, I ask them, what does a successful project look like? And they have to outline the criteria for success and their own metrics that they will be using. Then as they go along, they work towards that. They document how they get there. And then when they get to the final product, it's really not me who is assessing the project, but I want the students to assess their own work. So they look back at what they originally deemed as, okay, this is what a final project looks like. This is what I have. In what ways have I been successful? In what ways have I not been successful? To me, that is the best kind of learning. Again, the teacher should be mostly hands-off in that case. And also at the end of the project, you have this beautiful online portfolio that students can share with their parents, or if they're going off to college, they can put it in their college portfolio. But just being able to document everything, it also makes things really easier for the teacher to grade if you are having to assess legally in some way. But being able to scroll through people's blogs and websites, seeing pictures and videos and updates in a chronological order is a very pleasing way to see someone else's project. And so it makes it easier for teachers to assess. Something else that I had been doing with my students since about 4 or 5 years ago, actually using Slack in my classrooms, where I have a Slack for my class and a different channel for each project, and students were able to collaborate. Back when I was teaching in person, students were able to collaborate more after school because my students were very busy and they didn't always have time to meet face to face. Like our classroom time was very short, so many students worked outside of class. So having some kind of structure where they could meet online and post information to each other and kind of collaborate digitally was already very useful to me as a regular in-person classroom teacher. So those same tools are still going to be very useful now that we are doing everything online.
Yeah. It's also what Meredith was saying during her interview, like planning backwards, or like you first envision what you want and then you go from there. So that's a really interesting approach.
And they also get really good at documentation and
Yes,
creating
yeah.
portfolios. So that's also a good skill that they win.
Exactly. You know, we want them to gain those skills. We don't want them to just know how to make an Arduino work or just do this. We want them to be able to collaborate with peers remotely. We want them to be able to build a nice looking and easily communicated portfolio that anyone can look at and see, I see what's going on here, because those documentation and communication skills will serve them for the rest of their lives, whether they become engineers or not.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems nice. I'm kind of looking forward to your online course. Maybe I would like to participate in this summer to see.
Allison is awesome as an instructor, so we highly recommend.
Yeah.
I mean, just piggyback on what Allison was saying, right? I mean, I think, right, what this toolkit is doing, right, is just helping, you know, we want all the citizens of tomorrow, right, to be able to, right, you know, collaborate, to be able to analyze problems and be like, oh, of course that's what's going on, right? We want them to be really informed. And I think all the work that educators are doing in this space is really essential just for, you know, whether you're going to go on to become a scientist or engineer or technology professional, or you're just going to be a citizen and you're going to look at like issues of clean water or you know, power generation in your area and be like, oh, okay, what's going on here? So it's so critical that we give students those opportunities to have those open-ended, you know, to go from the skill building to those open-ended problems where they get to wrestle with all that stuff. And I definitely so excited when we see those pictures and projects where classrooms have done that.
I agree.
Can I answer a question that I'm seeing in the live comments?
Yeah, which one? Is it Neil?
From Neil the Texan, who Aggies. I'm sorry. Okay, cool. I'm a Longhorn, but we're all friends. We're all in this together. But regardless, you are absolutely correct that it can be really hard with so much code out there. The problem of simply copying and pasting to get things to work is a definite issue, and especially with students who don't believe that copying and pasting is bad, that they're like, what? I found it online, it's a resource, I can use that. Setting clear expectations at the beginning of a project is very important. Sometimes, depending on the nature of the project, I don't mind if they get code from elsewhere because that's not the main focus of the project. Sometimes I want them to just go grab code because they're busy working on the building aspect and they're going to tweak it and make it their own, so that's fine. In cases where I really care about, did they write this code? Do they know this code? I usually try to do some kind of in-person or oral presentation where I ask the student, all right, can you please walk me through your code and tell me what this all is and how it works? Because that, if they made it themselves, they should be able to do that. If they didn't, then that's usually where things start to fall apart. And again, luckily that is something that you can still do virtually, you know, with screen shares and just asking students. But most of the time, most of the projects we work on, if I sometimes encourage my students to, hey, go get on GitHub, go get on Instructables.com, go find a project that works already and find what you like about it, and you know, take that, make sure that you document where you got it from and give credit. That's a big thing. But then run with it and then make it your own. So it depends a lot on the style of the project that you're doing.
Yeah, and I would say also, like when programming, you don't have to invent everything yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's okay to use already made code and those kind of things. Yeah,
you shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. True.
That was all of our questions. Is there something that you would like to add?
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited. I mean, I think it's really great where folks are tagging what they're doing at home. We love to see that, really hear about what folks are interested in looking for. As we've been talking with our undergrad students who have been online this semester too, they really miss that. You know, they gave the faculty great feedback on, you know, the faculty was available, my teacher gave me stuff, but they miss each other. So I think that's a really interesting challenge for us all to think about. I know Allison has started to tackle it, but, you know, how are they still interacting and working with each other, because that's the piece that we all really miss from school. And I think teachers from kindergarten through college have done this amazing job of getting ready to interact and be present. And now we have to take that next step to think about, what are those other pieces from classroom interaction that we do here? And so definitely in your forums and blogs, and you guys can find us on Instagram and Twitter and all those great places, share with us your ideas and talk about, some of the things you're doing. Because I think we're all inventing best practice here. And if we're thinking about the students and their social emotional health as well as their learning, I think that's where the win's going to be.
I have one idea how to create projects together. So I'm going to tell that when we present our projects. So stay tuned for that. It's just a small thing, but it could be fun for someone.
Yeah.
I think we can say thank you.
Yes.
It was
Thanks a
really
lot.
interesting to hear from you.
Very.
Thanks so much for having us.
Good luck, everybody. Such great stuff going on. Keep posting it.
Thank you.
For sure. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay,
That
now
was really good.
Yeah, that was a lot of interesting things. It's now your turn, Roxana, to talk about how to become Arduino certified.
Yes, thank you, Melissa. So, guys, as you may see on our remote learning site, apart from the starter kit, we also have the Arduino Fundamental Certification. So probably most of you are already familiar with this. And if you're not, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. We released like a year ago the first certification from Arduino, which is called Arduino Fundamental Certification. It was as a request, as an answer to our huge community request asking for an official certification from Arduino. So this is our very first certification, the Fundamental Certification, and it is designed to test people's knowledge in Arduino electronic programming and physical computing. This is an entry-level certification, and it's based on the concepts based on the starter kit. So we imagine this continue now working and learning from home. You go through the projects, you train yourself, you also take a look at our training videos, you take part of the live sessions and learn a little bit more, and then you can take the certification. So we recommend this for 16 up students, teachers, or parents. And we already have the exam available in 5 different languages. So you can take it either in English, Spanish, German, Chinese, Italian, and more languages to come. So the Arduino certification, it's an online exam. And as I mentioned, it's based on the concepts introduced in the Arduino starter kit. And it covers 3 big areas, which are theory, introduction to Arduino, electronics, and coding. The online exam is 36 questions, and you have 75 minutes to complete all the exam. And the grading is that to pass the exam, you need to get 70 points, and you will get your results after submission. So this also, we have these 8 categories that people, you will find some questions based on these 8 categories that are also included in the starter kit. So if you're not sure if you're ready, you can take a look at these categories and say if you maybe need a little bit more training or practice on one of them. So what are the benefits of getting certified? So it will demonstrate that you have a good knowledge of the Arduino environment, the Arduino ecosystem. And also, while you train yourself, you will going to develop skills that are transferable to other areas of knowledge, not only programming or coding or robotics, but other areas. And also you become part of a wider network of professionals, people that have also been certified. So you can talk with them, interact with them, and also learn from them. And this is how the certificate looks like. And how can you get certified? There are 2 ways to be Arduino certified. We already know that we have a lot of users that know Arduino. So for them, we recommend go just through the exam. And for people that need more training and they're just getting started with Arduino, we recommend you to buy something that we call the Fundamentals Bundle. That is the starter kit, with an envelope with access to the exam. So those are the two ways that people can get certified. For more experience, the exam alone, and for those that need training, the fundamentals bundle. So this is how the certificate looks like. On every certificate, we have a unique ID number and a QR code. So if you share this on your LinkedIn profile or to your maybe your teacher or a future employer, they can scan your certificate, and then they will see this black screen with your name, your certificate ID, the date that you take your certification, to prove that these are real certification, that you actually are certified. So that's our QR code. And then I'm going to show you a little bit of how the exam looks like. So this is an overview of the platform. On the left side, you will see the 36 questions. So you can navigate through them when you are answering the exam. As you can see on the screen, we have multiple choice questions. And you have also on the left up, the right up, sorry, the time. So the 75 minutes you have to complete the exam. So you can navigate through the platform between questions. It's not mandatory to answer first question 1, then question 2. You can navigate freely through the exam platform. And when you are ready to submit your exam, you just click on Finish Exam, and then you will get an immediate feedback. This feedback is based on the 8 categories that I showed you before. So you can see your performance. In case that you fail, you will see which areas you need to get more training, to practice a little bit, and you can retake the exam again. And if you decide to retake the exam again, it will be a totally different exam, different questions, but we always try to keep the same level of difficulty. So every exam has the same level with hard questions, medium and easy. So we're looking for balanced exam in terms of difficulty. So we're using this starter kit and the certification because it's super easy to get started learning it. The kit contains all the material you need to start learning and training yourself. It comes in different languages, and it's a hands-on approach. So you can also have fun while training and learning, and then you can take the exam. So as you know, for our platform, Melissa also mentioned at the beginning that every week we add a new training video. So you can also train yourself for the certification using the training videos and also the step-by-step book. So as I mentioned before, this is a hands-on approach, and you will learn a lot of skills like problem solving, critical thinking, creative thinking, communication, and flexibility. So it can be used for a single user, so parents, teachers, or students can train themselves and then try to get Arduino certified, or also teachers can train their students so they can be ready to take the certification. So check our remote learning. We have there a lot of resources, the training videos. So we have some guidelines. We have the starter kit syllabus. We have these live sessions where, we have a special guest. Well, they share their experience, tips, and tricks that could be useful when you are training yourself to take the certification exam. And also, when you post projects, and when we also post our projects, we keep learning. So check these, our resources. And next session, we will talk more in depth about the certification so you can get a better idea of what it is and how all the content looks like. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Roxana.
Thank you.
Now it's time to present the projects that we have created.
Exactly.
And they're based on the starter kit.
So we had just released the latest video, which is the mood cue for the starter kits. If we have it there, maybe we can share it.
Yes.
So this is the training video for project 5, which uses a servo motor.
Yeah, sorry. Lost my mouse.
Okay. So here we show you how you can use a servo motor and a potentiometer to create your mood cue using the starter kits. And we have actually created our own versions of the mood cue. I will start with showing my version. Okay, I will change my camera quickly.
Can you?
Yep. So I created not a mood cue, but a weather cue. So it also uses the servo motor from this week's project, but it also uses a light sensor and a temperature sensor from previous projects that we did from the project book. And I will plug it in to show you how it works. So here now it's very bright in this room. So it's pointing on sun, but hopefully now if it would have become cloudy, I'm gonna cover it with my hand instead to see if it works. Oh,
Nice.
so the sun goes away. So yeah, that's my project.
Really cool.
So depending on what weather it is, it will show you different. Oh, I think it's stuck.
That's really nice because Therese is mixing projects from what we learned on the previous project. Then she applied this to a new one, so it's really nice. You can also try this. So cool.
Exactly. So this is the weather cue using light sensor, temperature sensor, and servo motor. What have you guys done,
Nice.
Alyssa and Lux?
I can present my project. Okay. I'm gonna share my other camera. So here, it's kind of similar to the mute cue. So it's still ask, how do you feel? But I have actually created my own kind of figure. So there's different emojis that I use, smiley faces, and then different colors to kind of, and then by spinning this, turning this potentiometer, I can show if I feel okay or if I'm feeling really good today, and kind of in that way map it. But I also created, let me share my screen. I also created this so if I could share my code with Therese, for example. So we both went through the starter kit project number 5, and we created our own mood cue. But then I modified the code and actually created that when it's there on the green one, the serial monitor will print a text. But now I would send this to Therese. So when she turns her mood cue at home and she opens my then and she turns it all the way to that feeling bad and feeling frustrated, for example, the text would say, virtual hug from Melissa, you're awesome. So sometimes it can feel better when you get that kind of message from someone else. It's not something that you wrote to yourself.
That's super nice. I will be really happy to see a message from my friend when I feel sad. So we should share that.
And it's really easy to share your code with Arduino. Like if you use the web editor, you can just share the link and the other one can open the link and upload the code to their board. Or then if you're using the desktop IDE, you can share the file and then open it with your IDE. It's simple as that.
That's really smart.
Yeah. Roxana, do you want to present yours?
Yes. So mine is similar like the project that Melissa shows. So I have a different moods if I feel happy or angry or stressed. So with the potentiometer, I move here how I feel. And if you can see on the screen, I put some phrases or quotes to cheer me up. At the end of the day, if I feel stressed, then I click here, I move the potentiometer here, and then I will see on the screen different quotes saying like, be yourself, everyone is already taken, or you did what you could. And if I move it, for example, if I feel upset or angry, I have some quotes that make me feel better. Or if I move it to the happy place, I will see some quotes related to that. So happy. So be proud, you work hard today, you did the best. So these are kind of quotes that remind me that everything is going to be fine. So you can add the quotes as many as you like, and at the end of the day, you can read them because sometimes we forget, especially now that we're working online and the emotions are a little bit more there. So yes, that's our take on these MoodQ projects that you can also try, guys.
Thank you.
That was super cool. Using the serial monitor is a really smart idea for this when communicating, especially if you don't have like the LCD screen. You can just use the serial monitor.
Yeah,
Do
and
you
it's
guys hear
super
me?
easy. Like as you can see, yes, as you can see, you can use like different cardboard, different emotions, or Teresa used the weather. So you can use whatever you want with the same project. You can change it. We will be
Yes.
happy to see what are you doing and share it on Arduino at home.
Yeah. Do you have an Arduino project that you would like to present here in our live show? Because actually next week, Thursday, the 21st of May, we're not going to have a live session. But meanwhile, we would like you guys to create new projects. And you have a chance to actually present it here. So create a project, send it to us, and we will pick some of the best projects to join our next live on the 28th of May. You can send your project using the hashtag Arduino at home in social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, for example, or you can use the contact form on our remote learning site. So everyone who has some Arduino components at home, now it's the best time to start creating your project if you haven't done that yet.
Yeah, please do so.
Should we test our audience?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Should we test our audience?
I think we should test
We
our
should.
audience.
I
We
hope you're
should.
ready.
As usual,
Do
we
you know
will
what
have
time it is?
our
Yes.
quiz.
Yay.
So I'm using Menti for this as well. Join the quiz using the code 269415. So grab your phone and go to menti.com and join with the code.
And I actually figured out last time why I couldn't join. It was just me not understanding what I'm doing.
Well,
but what is the code? Can you say it? I think something is blocking it for me.
Sure. 269415.
Yeah, it's
So
also
if you
on
can't
the
see the
chat,
code,
guys.
it's
Yeah.
269415. We talked
Yeah,
a lot
also
about
in the chat.
So take your phones and join.
So what is today's quiz about?
Oh, it's going to be about the certification mostly. I will test you if you were listening to what Rock said, but also we might have the chance to try some of the questions from the demo to see if you're ready to do the certification or not.
Ooh.
All right, so everyone at home in YouTube and Facebook, please join.
Yes. Menti.com 269415.
Exactly. So this will be about the certification exam, and I will also test your skills in electronics and programming.
Interesting.
So let's see who's the smartest out there.
Yeah, remember that you need to answer as fast as you can.
Exactly. So we have a few players.
Yeah.
I will wait just for a little moment more so everyone has the chance to write their name.
Yes.
Choose their icon.
Yes, remember then that on the next session, we will talk a little bit more about the certification and we will answer all your questions. So, But now, as Therese mentioned, we're going to test you on the certification and let's see.
So, Rox was talking about the certification and she was also telling you how much you needed to know to pass the certification. So out of 100%, how many percent do you have to pass to get Arduino certified is the first question. Answer fast to get more points. Let's see if you know this one. We're starting easy, but it's going to become more difficult later.
3, 2, 1.
We still have a lot of people listening. So you need to pass 70% of the questions to become Arduino certified.
Good.
If you want to, you can also try out the demo first before taking the test from the page where you've also purchased the exam. So I have created a question that is similar to one of the demo questions, but it's a bit simplified because you don't have as much time here as you have in the quiz. So I will show you an image, and the question is, which of these two buttons will turn on its LED? Is it A or B?
Teres, I think your hoodie is making a bit sound with the mic.
Okay, I'll see if I can fix it. Maybe now it's better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Answer on your phones now. This is a bit more tricky.
Oh, yeah.
Follow the circuits. So this is like an example on how a question could look like in the exam. So this is not a question from the exam, but it's a similar type.
Similar.
Oh, something happened here.
They're all wrong.
All wrong.
Yeah, well, I think this was my mistake. The right answer is A. So if you typed A, you're correct. This was just me not checking the questions properly. Let's see. Now I hope that the rest of the questions will have the right answer. If not, that's my fault. But the next question is also from the certification. And remember that it's based on the starter kit. So in the starter kit, you will learn about different components. Which of these following components is an actuator?
Wow. Let's see.
Let's see. I'm really nervous now to see if I actually pressed the right question or not. But I will always let you know which is the right answer, so don't worry.
Piezo, transistor, resistor, or edge bridge.
It's a piezo.
Yeah,
So
nice.
an actuator is something that converts the electrical energy into something else. So a piezo converts it to movement. So it creates the sound.
Nice.
Let's see. Out of these two questions, who is in the lead? We have Jujun Kai, who is the
Jujun.
fastest with 1,756 points, followed
Wow.
by Fahad Khan and CK. Okay,
Nice.
so another actuator is the servo motor. That's also an actuator. It converts electrical energy into movement as well. This is Melissa's project. So my question is, using the servo library, what command do you use to move the servo?
This one I should know.
This one you should know because you created the project. Okay.
Yeah, everyone who watched our tutorial video should know this also.
Exactly. It might happen that I
Yeah.
didn't type the correct answer for this as well, but you will always know which one is the correct one.
Wow.
It is right. So it's the name of your servo and then dot right. And then you type the angle afterwards. This one was a bit more tricky. I think my quizzes have become more tricky.
Yeah, and if you watched the previous tutorial video, there we talked about analog right, so maybe you also were referring to that.
And this is because we use a servo library. If we don't have a servo library, I think you can do it with analog right in some way as well. So we're partly right, but using the server library, it's .write. I was also showing you my project, which was this weather station. Yeah, we don't have to look at it, but so this is a more accurate way of how it was supposed to look like. We don't have to look at that. But as you see, I have this component here, which is a capacitor. And it is used to smooth out any changes in the voltage in the circuits by storing electrical energy in an electric field. So this effect is called capacitance. And what unit is capacitance measured in is the next question. Tricky.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit harder.
I'm just wondering how I move on to the next slide from here.
And to click on the right, on the.
But I think this is like other. Oh no, it has frozen. Let's see how I move on. How about now? Yeah.
Yay.
Great.
Okay, cool.
Good job, Teres.
Troubleshooting live. I'm getting sweaty.
I'm getting sweaty with your questions there.
Yeah, I might have not.
Time's up.
Farad is the right answer. So capacitance is measured in farad. I think now we have a winner.
I can say it's not
Let's
me.
see.
So this was a bit more difficult. Ooh, this is really close.
Seiki.
Oh, the winner is CK. I recognize this player from another quiz. Congrats with 3,082 points, followed by
Nice job.
Marlon and Fahad. Congratulations.
Nice job.
Great job, everyone.
Cool. So
Thank
I
you
think
for playing.
I think that was everything from us today, don't you think?
It was.
Yes.
Yep.
Like there's a Jan asking, so you won't have any session next? No, next week we won't have it. We're gonna have the Thursday with no live session, but we're gonna still publish a new tutorial video on Thursday. So there's for Starter Kit project number 6, there's gonna be a new video, and we're gonna of course update the remote learning site.
Yeah. So we will be back on the 28th, right?
Yeah.
Of May.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a 1 week pause in a way, or well, next episode in 2 weeks then. And meanwhile, you should create your project and share those with us. So then we're gonna have some special guests. Maybe someone who created a Arduino project can be here and present it like we did today.
One of you guys.
Yeah.
It could be one of you.
Yeah, someone is better at calibrating their components than I am, apparently.
Yeah, let's hope so. There's always the live.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Melissa, Teres. Thank you, Melissa, for joining.
Thank you, everyone who commented.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.